Hi and welcome to the best thing we watched this week. We're back, Chris, Movies and Munchies, Ruben from the Ruby Tuesday. Thank you so much for joining us once again. If you're new, not to the world, but to us, then you're welcome. If you're new to the world, you must have a higher magic brain power. Amazing. This week we're changing it up again because we're doing our top 5 series that Netflix cancelled that they shouldn't have. We're going to be talking about that, so we're going to get into that in a minute. Don't forget, we have our Christmas special that's dropping on Christmas Day. Obviously, we're not going to be recording it on Christmas Day, the day before, actually, I think. But Die Hard, is it a Christmas movie or is it not a Christmas movie? If you want to be mentioned maybe in the podcast, leave us a comment and we'll put up your name there, talk about a few of the discussions there. I'm really looking forward to that. And then at the end of this episode, if you want to get the extra content, please find us wherever you find your podcasts, wherever you listen to them, Spotify, Apple, iTunes, you name it. We're on there. We're going to be talking about the best thing we watched this week and some entertainment news. But let's get into it. I'm excited to talk about this one, Chris. But first, how are you?
I am well, thank you. I have spent this week on jury duty, and I get to spend the next week on jury duty.
That's a thing. Like in the UK that we see, like in the movies, I got called up to jury duty. Let me find a way to get out of it. That's normally how I see it in the films. I know it's a thing, but I've never actually met anyone that went to. So how was that? What can you tell us? I'm sure that's not like. It's totally.
I can't
legal.
Really tell.
Yeah, you can tell us everything.
Yeah, I can't because the case is ongoing. You can't really say anything about it. Right. But it's just it's an interesting process. It is not like what you see in the movies.
Damn it.
At all. I mean, it is. I spent 2 days in jury selection, listening to the exact same questions to groups of people. And so it. In the movies or the show, they just are there. Boom, and then the case happens, and you have the court, the lawyers wandering around and yelling at things and pointing, and it's very dramatic. And that's not the case so far. Yeah,
no, I would be so disappointed.
I'm waiting for somebody to be like, "You can't handle the truth." Like, okay,
someone to do the amazing speech that has no relevance and actually isn't what lawyers do at all. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. So anyway, that has been my this last week, and then will be my forthcoming week.
Okay.
Also, so it'll be interesting.
You still get paid for that, right? Kind of.
Luckily, I don't know if I do. Yeah. Normally, you get a pittance.
Okay.
Like it's not even worth your time.
All right.
But most people's jobs will reimburse you or not make you take vacation or anything like that, just because it's
not
civic
fair.
duty.
It's you have to. Yeah.
Yeah, basically,
it's
because
national
you're
service.
Yes, it's compulsory volunteerism. So we're voluntold.
Would you please come? But you have to.
That's exactly it. Yes. So anyway, so next week maybe I'll be able to at least highlight a little bit of what it was. Not necessarily really.
Can you do a courtroom drama for us? We'll just set it up. We'll do like this week on Movies and Munchies.
In the American criminal justice system.
Exactly.
Dun, 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 dun.
I'll buy some handcuffs and I'll be like, I'm innocent. And you can.
Yes. Oh, that'll be good.
Okay, we've made our own Netflix show. But talking about Netflix. This was an interesting week. It was pretty tough to get a top 5 because actually when looking at it, Netflix have cancelled a lot. And they've cancelled a lot of good shows, really, really top shows. I've noticed the pattern of 2 to 3 seasons. And it feels like when they're just getting going, there are obviously those anomalies that get the one. But 2 to 3 seasons, they're just getting going, have a fan base, are ridiculously high in the audience and critic scores, but get cancelled. And some of them don't even seem to be costing that much to make. And so I know COVID was a big part of some of those that got cancelled. But some of them, it boggles your mind. You're like, why? Why? You got a big fan base on some of these titles. So...
Especially when they don't cancel, ones that you look at like, who's watching this?
Exactly.
Nobody's watching this.
Yeah,
This is
exactly.
This is poo.
Yeah.
And yet you have continued on. Why are you doing that?
So I posed to my audience the question, and here are some of their suggestions of things that shouldn't have been cancelled. So Sherry J, she says, as crude as it was, I really liked Teenage Bounty Hunters, and she was very sad to hear that it was cancelled. Dirk Gently is one that's been mentioned. Lost Laszlo's Son. Adrian Beltran said Anne with an E. K.A. said, I loved Spinning Out. Do you remember that? It was an ice skating series. It was actually quite good. It was quite dark.
Was it?
Yeah.
Okay. I didn't see it. But...
A few Jupiter's Legacies, but I think people confused. They thought maybe there was meant to be more, but that was always meant to be a one and done, much like Super Crooks. Grand Armies, Altered Carbon. I think most people thought that the first season was great and the second season wasn't so, which is why it didn't get a continuation. So there's lots, Sense 8, yeah, lots of The Order, Cursed, all of those up there. And Ragnarok, one I didn't even know was being cancelled, but the third season is the last season, which is very sad because I was really enjoying that.
Yeah, especially the second season.
Right. Yeah, they were really getting into that lore.
Yeah, and when once Loki has really embraced Loki, I didn't know that was being canceled.
I didn't either. That hurts, man.
Oh, that does hurt.
Yeah.
Oh, goodness.
Would you like, apparently you ranked them, right?
You
tentatively ranked them.
I tentatively, yeah, I think it's those that I was like, some were like, I'm bummed that it was canceled.
Yeah.
Like, I was enjoying it, to then are you freaking kidding me? So I did rank them.
Yeah.
Well, just, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, totally.
Cool. So what's at your number 5 then?
My number 5, let's see, I didn't number them, so I do want to make sure I still have 5 on there because I had more than 5 at the beginning. Okay.
Yes.
So the first one, this one only got one season.
Okay. And
it came out, I don't know which year it came out, either at the beginning of 2020 or maybe it was 2019, but it was Messiah.
Yes.
On this, okay, so international, the globe hopping, I liked, I think I liked the spiritual aspect, the religious aspect that they brought in there, but it was still really questioning a lot of things. And,
it made it real. I like the bringing forth of the Messiah storyline into a modern era. I thought that was clever. So it kept it relevant, but kept that religion in there, and pushed a lot of buttons that I thought they were quite brave to do. Yes. I knew some people were going to be really upset with when watching this. It's one of those like, I know some people that are not going to like this, but the storytelling was so good.
It really was, yeah. And the character, he was mysterious enough, and they held the portions of the story so close to the chest, with just eking out a little bit of information here or there on certain spots where you're like, well, is he telling the truth? Is he just a kook? And what's going on? And then when we get towards the end to the season finale, it's like, oh, wow, okay, so now where are they going to go? Because they reveal, that he has healed people like that.
Yeah. So you're thinking,
but then
is it a hoax? Is it a trick? Is it real?
Is he
actually?
And then Netflix will not answer that for us.
Never ever will we find out.
No, and
so one of my subscribers, one that I trust that's been around for a while, commented on the thread of the things, and apparently Messiah was one due to COVID. So that must have been early days of COVID though, because it's been quite a while.
Yeah, well, and I know that they traveled a bunch of locations. Within that story, so I can see how that could be impacted.
If you wanted to keep the same sort of storyline, I guess it'll be tough.
Yeah, but we had, I don't know. I almost think though that you can recreate places. You know what I mean?
There are sets,
or even if
there's a stage.
Yeah,
like
and okay, so COVID is still happening. I'm not discounting that, but like productions have moved forward in safe manners.
We've gotten films since then and big budget ones.
Yeah,
and, yeah.
So why not just pause
Or take longer? Yeah. Yeah.
Exactly, to then just, get it out. Because we know that some series, they take 2 or 3 years and then boom, here it comes. Well, part of that was because either it wasn't written or, they were making sure that they're doing it right. I mean, even like we talked about last week with Doctor Strange, how they're doing these reshoots. Well, that's because they wanted to get it right.
Yeah.
And so, okay, I'm willing to wait longer if it's better. And so I think Netflix maybe got a little jumpy on the gun there to be like, no, we'll just cancel that.
That was, one of my best viewed reviews, huge in numbers, and everyone's that I saw the same. So it had, to me, that is often when you can tell has, is the following big? Because I have I'm a small little like a droplet in the ocean that is YouTube, and if I get views, then it must mean that there's a big following. So I was always surprised by that one.
Yeah, it really resonates with fans. And I don't remember what the what critics had said overall to it or whatever, and it wasn't a perfect series, but it was entertaining and it was engaging, and it was one of those that I wanted to see more of, and so, which is actually why it's it's on my list.
Yeah,
because
absolutely.
I was bummed by it was canceled.
No, I get that. Yeah, it's a good one to have on the list. So at the bottom of my list, not because it's not doesn't deserve to be on the top, it's just because that's where it's ended up, was the Dark Crystal Netflix series. I totally understand why it got cancelled, because the production value of that, it costs so much. It is huge. But I guess I'm a little bit biased. I went to London and I saw a screening of this with my son, and then they had the sets there, so you could go and see the costume design and everything they built, and then they had a Q&A with the 2 puppeteers, and they basically showed you and told you how they did it. I don't know if you know, they built the set so it was raised to about the height of a person's neck. So that the puppeteers could walk. They made these little tunnels and then hold them up, and that's how they did. So they must have had massively for hours on end doing puppeteering with your arms up like that. Anyway, I loved the look of it. I thought it was much darker than I remembered. But if you go back and watch the original film, you'll know that it was pretty dark for. It's in the era of Neverending Story. They kept it very much like Labyrinth, that sort of feeling with the music and the voice work. They did add CG in there to kind of make it feel that that much more naturalistic, I guess, just to have a bigger scale. And the story was really fun, but it just started going. They had a lot more story, and it's one they obviously thought that they were going to come back with. They had the original puppeteers workshop from I forget the name, but the geniuses behind that actually was the same family that came back and did.
Oh wow!
Yeah, so I basically was like, yeah, everybody loves this, and everybody did. It had huge. Wow, you're laughing, so maybe you didn't, but it had huge critic response, and the audience loved it. So I thought for sure we're gonna get a second season of this. But no.
Yeah, I was surprised. I mean, I personally not a fan of it. It weirded me out too much. I know. Hey, I'm in the minority too, and I understand that. Because I know a lot of fans were like, "Oh my gosh, this is great," or it brings back so much nostalgia, and that was also part of the problem that I didn't enjoy the first one. It was like, this is not my thing, and that's okay. I'm going to stick with my regular Muppets, and I'll be good there.
I don't like this design.
Yeah. But it was, I did appreciate the creepiness and what they were doing with the story, and how they were bringing in a little bit more modern into it, just even into the storytelling. And so, yeah, I mean, while I'm not personally upset that it's there, I'm just ambivalent. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not, yay, it's canceled, or, oh, that's terrible. It's just, okay.
Everybody in the comments, let Chris know how wrong he is about the Dark Crystal series.
Oh, again, no, totally. I am in the minority. I completely understand that. Fully know that.
No, that's okay. You are totally allowed to be wrong, Chris. It's okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. All right, what's on your number 4?
Okay, well, I am not okay with this. This conversation. No.
This is actually my number 1. So yeah.
Oh,
but let's talk about it now. No, it's fine. We can talk about it now.
Okay.
Because I know what we're going to talk about for your number 1. So
yeah, true. Yeah, I didn't know what to expect going into this, and the story grew on me, and it was a short series, if I remember correctly. I mean, it was only 6 episodes or something like that. And the episodes were
short as well.
Yeah, but like any great show, it hooked me almost right from the very beginning. I mean, you have very charismatic actors. The story, just her discovering this thing that she can do. It was slightly dark. I like that. I think, if I remember correctly, it was also pretty violent.
It's pretty gory
at moments. Yeah. And I'm like, oh, I wasn't expecting that, and yet I'm loving it. I was really bummed when this one did. Excuse me, my heater is turning on in my house, and so it's just causing all kinds of noise. But yeah, I was shocked when Netflix said, no, we're not going to continue this one on, because I was, first off, dude, you've had 6 episodes. You've given us it ends to where a cliffhanger.
It was massive cliffhanger.
You
massive,
can't do that. Oh, yeah. Okay, so it's your number 1. Why?
You see, if you took the supernatural power element out of it, it's still a really good coming-of-age series that has really tight, quirky dialogue. And between her and her weird friend, I mean, she's weird enough. Between her and her weird friend, I thought every single episode just snapped. It was so punchy with the dialogue that I really wanted to know more about those characters. And then the caveat was having that supernatural story and finding her origin story, basically, of a superhero, but in a really real way that would probably be how we would react, if we were young or got powers. And then that ending moment was like, damn, I'm so invested into this. Now let's go. 6 seasons in, I'll be all the way there. Only to find out, and I remember it was fairly soon after that they canceled it. I was like, what? No.
Yeah. It wasn't even I think it was within maybe a week or something of it being released, maybe a little longer than that, but not too much. And I'm like, especially with how they end with that cliffhanger.
Yeah.
You can't, that's rude.
That is rude. I mean, it's upsetting. I really hoped that it would be shopped elsewhere, someone would be picked up, but it hasn't been yet. Sometimes you get those series that get picked up by other networks. I mean, Netflix tends to do that, but you do get the occasional, we can do that. Adult Swim did that with Bertie and something, the animation series, and they've picked it up for a second series. So it does happen, but not yet, unfortunately.
Yeah, it needs to happen. Or Netflix needs to go, you know what, we've changed our mind, and we'll bring it back.
Yeah, we were wrong. We accept that. Here you go. All will be forgiven.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, because we just want a really cool show with great characters back. So please, yes. Oh.
Yeah, so on my number 4, it's probably another one, because last time I mentioned it, you didn't seem to like it as much as I did. But for some reason, my wife and I, we love our kind of sitcom comedy series we like a lot of American ones because that's like where we grew up. It was like in South Africa and then the UK. It's really popular. So you know, from Friends to I was gonna say Jessie, New Girl. I think.
Oh yeah.
New Girl. There's just a bunch that I like. So you take that kind of suburbia sitcom, and then you add zombies, and then you add a really interesting, weird arc, because there were things happening in this that I'd never seen done in a zombie series before. Like I don't think it's a spoiler, but she coughs up the thing. Every zombie has a thing around ball. Then it's a spider thing, and you're like, what on earth is that? And you're like, or when she starts losing fingers, and they're like, oh no, she really needs to eat. But then you have the conundrum of, but she needs to eat fresh brains. But then we're murdering people. I loved the moral ambiguity of it, the justification of it. It's again like serial killers killing serial killers. They aren't serial killers, but they are family unit, and till death do us part doesn't doesn't come in here. So we got 3 seasons, but it felt like it just started on their series run, their arc. They just opened up a massive arc. Like there were huge stories that were coming, and there were like all these threads that were just left like wide open. Drew Barrymore, I love her in this role. But then you also have the daughter and the son. Well, no, the daughter who has a relationship with the geeky boy next door, who's part of that relationship that we all wanted them to get together because he's the type of guy that doesn't get the pretty girl. That's the storyline that we're going with. And the father that doesn't know how to relate to his wife anymore because she's a zombie. It's such a weird dynamic and interesting story. And I thought, for sure, people are going to get behind this. It's great. But unfortunately, the viewership wasn't there.
This is Santa Clarita Diet, right?
Did I not even say the name? Yeah. Santa Clarita Diet, people.
I knew what it was.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure.
Thank you, Chris. I'm glad you're awake.
Yeah. No, this one, I didn't dislike this series. It didn't hook me, I think, like it hooked other people. I did enjoy it. I love, exactly. Yes, other people as in. No, I really did. I liked, is it Josh Duhamel?
Yeah.
Is that who's with?
Josh, how do you say his surname? Duhamel.
Well, I've heard it. There was there was a superbike racer with the same spelling of the last name.
All right.
They pronounced it Duhamel. But Duhamel, I don't know. I don't know. Like Josh and I are friends. I mean, come on. That's
of course.
Duhamel, right?
Why wouldn't you be? Yeah.
Anyway, I liked their relationship, especially because, I mean, I thought that this was kind of a newish type of thing because you have Drew Barrymore being the one who has to eat to survive. And now you have the husband who is trying to keep her secret, trying to still help her, but also knowing that there's danger within this relationship. Just not only from exterior, you know what I mean, of like cops being
from
found
her.
out or
She may
anything
get
like
hungry in the middle of the night and want a snack.
That's not going to
That should be your thumbnail. Exactly.
Oh, that was good. But so I did like that, and you're right. I mean, I just didn't get far enough into the series, and it wasn't. It was one of those casual watches for me. Okay. I think, which I enjoyed. You know what I mean? It just wasn't something that I was like salivating that I have to watch this next episode or I have to watch this next season. And probably realistically, once I had heard that it was either going to be canceled or it was canceled, the motivation to become invested in it drops way down. Yeah. Because I don't know, is it going to end on a cliffhanger or have they wrapped it up? You know, sometimes
it is tough,
we have series that, because sometimes, you have series that they know that they're being canceled, and so they use that last season. They're given the opportunity to do a final season. Yeah. And so they wrap up storylines as best they can or whatever. But not all the time. I mean, sometimes it's just like, no, we're not renewing you. Fun. Okay. So. Yeah.
Sad.
Yes.
All of this is sad.
All of this is sad. Welcome to the depressing show.
So what's on your 4?
Three. Yeah. Hit and Run. That new one. That I think it's partially Israeli, partially American co-production type of thing. And the main actor's name escapes me, but he was in Fauda.
Yeah.
And he was the creator of that. And I love Fauda.
Yeah.
I think that's a wonderful show. This one wasn't on par with that one, but I was getting engaged because you have this guy with a special forces past, but who's tried to move past it, and come to find out that his wife, who is just, we find out we learn this in the very beginning of episode 1, that she's hit by a car and the car keeps going, thus the name Hit and Run, and she dies. But then it's in his pursuit of finding out who she is, and things begin to unravel, and just, more and more details about her hidden life come to pass. And so you have this guy who's believed one portion of this story that he thought was true, and all it really was a big lie with little things of truth within there. And him unraveling and then using his skills to go deeper down that rabbit hole, and then pulling in his press contact who can get different type of information or different access. And I think one of the things that I really enjoyed was once he comes to the United States, he acts like he's still in his country. So he'll go into the police station and demand things, and they're like, "Who are you doing? Go away." Yeah, this is not how this works at all. And so you have frustration with then pile on fish out of water and not understanding how things work in this area, and yet still being driven to try and find out. So I was bummed that this one did get canceled, because most of my questions are still not answered. That's really the right thing. They do answer some, but they don't answer all of it. And some of the, I understand though also, because I don't think that this one had a quite the large following.
That's what I was going to say. I think the reason why it didn't get picked up is because it didn't find its audience. And I think a lot of that is to do with Netflix actually not putting it up on the front page. It wasn't there a lot, so people didn't know that there was this new series that's quite quirky. You could have even mentioned from Fauda, because Fauda actually has a nice cult following, because people have I think people have come to it late, Fauda, but it's the more time goes on, the more people are coming to Fauda, realizing how, I think cinematography wise, Fauda is incredible. Like it's an intense series, but it visually, it's very, very excellent. Hit and Run felt a bit fresh as well. It did something with the genre that we'd seen so many times. That fish out of water thing, but it's like a fish out of culture thing, was nice. Yeah.
That's it. Yes.
Yeah. It didn't answer any of the questions really, and I guess we'll never know.
Yeah. Yeah. And what's funny too is, like, about Netflix not promoting it, is they had run like a teaser trailer probably 4 or 5 months before the series came out.
What?
And then
nothing.
Yeah. And
yeah.
So I don't know. It makes you wonder also, did they know they were going to cancel it beforehand?
Maybe maybe it had already got cancelled internally. So they already spent the money buying the IP, and then okay, well, we'll just have to cut our losses, which is sad, because it probably had a long way to go. Okay, so on my number 3, unless you want to talk more about the sadness of the cancelled Hit and Run.
No, I'm good.
Dirk Gently's holistic, how do I say this? I need to get this right. Dirk Gently's Holistic Detective Agency. I know it's one that you haven't seen, I think.
I've seen one episode.
Okay.
I liked what I saw so far, but yeah, I've only seen the one episode.
Yeah, this scratched my weird o-meter, and I was hooked. My wife and I sat there basically with our jaws open, but like also with smiles on our faces. So it's like, just craziness ensued. You know, if I say to you, cat turns into shark, it's great. Elijah Wood. It is a detective thing. So the whole premise really is this guy who is a detective, but he doesn't have any clues. He just follows the universe's clues, which, if you just think about that for a second, it leads you all over the place. But we have weird science fiction, really out there things. You have Elijah Wood's quirkiness that he brings to a series like this. But then you have the writing from this creator, which is very well respected here in the UK. In fact, there was an original series before the Netflix ones, like a BBC version of it, that is quite well respected. And I believe the reason why it never got picked up for a third is because there was internal fighting with writer, like author, and those who owned the rights. And so Netflix just didn't want to continue being in the middle of that. So they went, okay, we're not going to pursue trying to get it like over the fence for a third. We'll just let them deal with whatever was going on with that, which is unfortunate. However, if you still want more of the stories and you haven't heard all of them from the books, you can get them on vinyl.
Ooh.
It's very, very cool.
And that's fun.
It opens up, like those old stories that you heard on the radio. Yeah, so cool. Definitely worth. If you have a vinyl record, there's a couple of these stories on vinyl, like over like 3 records, which I think is definitely worth it. So if you're sad about that, that's something you can do. I'm sure you can find it just like on podcasts or stuff like that. Buy it on iTunes, but
come on,
vinyl is so cool. It's so different, and it makes it weird, a little bit weird, and you kind of want to keep it like that in that genre. So haven't got enough praise to talk. Think about it like in the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy, that sort of quirkiness, and then you're on the right path.
Because it is Douglas Adams, right?
Yeah.
He's the one who wrote,
Yeah.
So it matches perfectly. And I know most people didn't love the movie or like the movie even with Martin Freeman. Brilliant. I love it.
Yeah, I'm a huge fan. I mean, the books are always better, but
totally. But this one was a lot of fun.
I mean, I could talk about the Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy movie for hours. That and The Fifth Element, I could just talk for hours on those 2 films.
Maybe you and I should just do that one time.
We should.
I'm not sure if anybody's going to listen.
No one's going to listen,
but hey.
But we're just going to talk about those 2 films.
Both of them so quotable.
Yeah,
so
absolutely. We'll just do quotes. Whole podcast and quotes. Amazing.
There you go. Oh, that's wonderful. Oh, okay. So how many seasons was
it was 2. It
Dirk
got
Gently's?
2.
Was it 2?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Bummer. Okay. Well, my next on my list is actually one of your commenters had mentioned it, and it's Teenage Bounty Hunters.
Yeah, nice.
This one caught me off guard.
I agree.
Really, because
100%. Yeah.
They also changed the name for Netflix because I think it had Sexy. Was it Sexy Teenage Bounty Hunters or something like that in the original title, or from the which
I think that's a good. I think that's a good move. Yeah,
I do too, because as an adult and then an adult male watching that just doesn't. That's gross. So just you have Teenage Bounty Hunters. The premise is you have these 2 twin sisters who stumble into accidentally helping a real bounty hunter catch a bail jumper, the skip, and they then decide that that's something that they want to try and do because they need money.
Yeah,
and it unrolls from there. Now you have first. Oh gosh, there's so much to love in this show. I mean, the writing is incredibly funny. The 2 leads, the 2 girls, first off, they work really well, and they both they're very similar, and yet they're wildly different. And they come from a really strict religious family, and they go to a religious school, and so it's very buttoned down and almost holier than thou type of thing, and repression, and so you have one who's trying to stick by that, and one who is blatantly just like, screw it, I will toe the line while I'm here, kind of, but my life is totally different outside of school. And then so you have those two, the dynamic between them and just their pursuits and what they're trying to accomplish as they try and get more money because they kind of enjoy doing this. But then you have Kadeem Hardison, who was in the first time I think I ever saw him was in A Different World, and seeing him older now, and which it actually took me a moment to realize that it was him. But I love him. I mean, he was like the bright spot among bright spots within this show. Like I loved the two girls together. I loved a lot of the cast. But then you have him, and he's just dry and sarcastic, and he's done. And he tolerates these two girls just enough, you know.
Yeah,
and
he was great.
has like in the phone, he has like the blonde one and the brunette one. And he doesn't even know their names, doesn't care about their names, and yet they still come to him, and so he uses them a little bit to help get bail jumpers. And the banter, the storytelling, and they interwove a mystery within there, which then we get to the series finale. Yeah, and they drop a bombshell, and you're like, wait, whoa, and then nothing again. And I thought this one had a pretty decent following. I thought maybe not the critic response, but the audience response I thought was pretty good. I thought people were jumping on board with this one, and I don't know why Netflix decided that they weren't going to continue it, but this is another one that I really wish that somebody else would pick up. Or Netflix would just go, "I'm wrong. We were wrong. We're willing to fix this."
Yeah.
So.
Again, it's one that I really expected to switch off and not review, not enjoy. It's one I thought I shouldn't be enjoying this, and then I was 3 episodes in, and it's like, this is really fun. And I think it's that juxtaposition for like these teenage girls in a situation of bounty hunting, often find themselves in ridiculous circumstances and somehow manage to sometimes catch a guy with the help of the guy that actually can do his job. And the fact that he is so dry, and they're often are so irritating, but I think they were meant to be. And him really not taking any of their nonsense, I think that worked well. But seeing them in that situation with the guys that they were meeting were like really nasty, some of them. But they're not nasty. They're just happy-go-lucky, fluffy teenagers, right? But also somehow have a natural talent to actually bounty hunting, which is also fun. And then with that storyline in there, I just thought it was quite quirky and different. It's a different take on the genre, the cop bounty hunter thing that we've seen before. Reminded me a little bit of Buffy, because you have like this single young teenager who's out there fighting bad guys, but also having to do the school thing, having to still do life, the girl things, like, what am I going to wear today? And, all the funny things that you see in these kind of teenage series. But then but by night I'm a bounty hunter, which the juxtaposition is so fun, and I thought for sure that we were going to get more of this one. It definitely felt like it had an air of people were watching it. It does beg the question, if Netflix are going to cancel all these the series that are left on massive cliffhangers, whether they should greenlight an individual hour-long story just to satisfy fans somewhat, because you definitely are alienating fans more and more as you cancel them. How many times have you heard the conversation now where people go, unless the series has 3 or 4 seasons, I don't want to start it because I no longer trust Netflix or a lot of other networks, because I don't want to find myself invested in a great storyline, get halfway through, okay, they have a year to go and do the next season, and in the middle of that year they get cancelled, so we'll never know. And then it only takes so many times for that to happen till you go, no, I'm just going to watch a movie, because a movie I know I'm safe with. I have a rounded perspective. Beginning, middle, and end, it's fine. Unless I'm watching Harry Potter, 1 to 8 or something, that's going to take a while. People now like, how many seasons has it got? I've heard this question said to me. It's 5. Oh, 5, great. It's just started. Maybe I'll wait a while.
Yeah, I think so too. I think, excuse me, Netflix is, and all the streaming platforms that they cancel a show well, and even probably on-air broadcast stuff too.
Mm.
You know, and I understand, you know, you take a chance with some of these and you don't know how they're going to respond with the audience, but I think that some of that should be taken into account too.
Yeah.
You know, and I can understand, like, if nobody is watching this show and you cancel it and you have 5 people that are upset, okay, nobody was watching the show. But when you have these massive appeals and that they still cancel it, that yeah, from a longevity standpoint, and then I think what you do is you set up a progression of harming future series.
Yeah, exactly.
You know, so when you this series is coming out, well, nobody's watching it. Well, that's because you've canceled 3 of their other favorites, and they're waiting.
We're waiting. Yeah, we don't trust it. We'll wait until you greenlit 3 at once, and then like 3 seasons back to back. Then we'll come and watch this. Yeah.
Yeah, and then it's a broken cycle. Yeah. Right? Because they're not going to greenlight unless it's popular, but nobody's going to watch unless they know there's more.
Yeah, it's bad.
But then you also have some of those weird ones, like we were talking, several weeks ago, that you were watching, like when the 2nd season, I think, had dropped, they immediately announced the 3rd, and it took away, right?
Yeah.
Is it you? Maybe the 3rd series.
Yeah.
And it took away any, like, danger
tension.
or peril that might happen. Yeah, from like...
Yeah, that was before it had dropped, season 3. Oh, we've announced season 4. And the whole premise is you've never know whether your protagonist is going to get caught or taken out. I was like, I guess he's still around then. Okay, great.
Yeah, that lessens your... I mean, give it a month and say, hey, we've renewed it, or...
Especially since it's not coming out like for another year. So it's not going to harm their marketing strategy. In fact, it'll probably just get people watching again. Put it out in a month time, and then people like, I've forgotten. I really need to finish that. Yeah, a really strange decision.
Yeah. Well, especially when a storyline contains mystery like that.
Yeah.
Because, we think about, we talked, I think, the same time that we were talking about you, and that was also with, Jack Ryan.
Yeah.
How they had announced, like, season 3 and 4 are coming. Well, okay, you know what? That's a book series. We know that he has a really longevity, and we started earlier than some of these, some of the movies have been. So we know he has a big career, and we've seen, progressions of his career. So that's less of a hindrance. I mean, I think in that instance, it's like, ooh, okay, good. I know 2 more seasons are coming. I want to see that. But when you have a mystery or something where your protagonist, your antagonist, whoever, you're like, ooh, are they going to make it this time? And if you take all of that away, that ruins my excitement for right now. Anyway.
So before we get into my number 2, which is your number 1, I presume it is. I thought
I'm sure it is.
We'd do some honorable mentions.
Okay.
Yep.
Yes.
So the 3 that I have on here is Sense8, Glow, and Anne with an E. Now, I haven't seen Anne with an E, but I've put it on there because Anne with an E is the one fan base that I see on pretty much every single Netflix announcement, on Twitter, on trailers. It's yes, but bring back Anne with an E. Hashtag bring back. And I have to give it to the fan base for that series. Like, I was like, it's the one thing that keeps reminding me, like, I really should watch that because they're so emphatic about how amazing the show was, and obviously didn't answer the questions or they just weren't satisfied with the ending. I know it got 3 seasons, so it wasn't like it was 1. But yeah. And similar thing could be said about Sense8. Now, I wasn't a massive fan of Sense8, but I understood that it was a really interesting premise. It was the Wachowskis, so it had some I guess, creativity around it. If you think like the creativity of The Matrix, and then you add in a really interesting dynamic of 8 people that are able to sense each other and have different abilities through that, which is why it's called Sense8. It was very graphic in the way with its, I mean, that's what I remember from the series, very sexual in parts, which didn't flick my switch. There was one scene that was like a massive orgy, and I didn't understand the need for it. But it did get picked up for a 2nd season, and I believe people loved the 2nd season. And then because of the love of that, they got like this Christmas special. which I think kind of helped to wrap it up, but it didn't. It felt like it was just starting, and that's another one that fans were pretty upset with. So I thought, like, in my honorable mentions, I'd definitely mention those two. And then Glow was one of those that I thought was going to keep going. It had a really good fan base. People were enjoying it, male and female, even though it was about women and wrestling. The unique storytelling, it wasn't about the wrestling, it was about the women and the lives that they had to live in a time that didn't really like women as wrestlers, but were showcasing some incredible I was going to say gumption, but incredible moves that even some of the guys wouldn't be able to do, and they were wrestling with guys and pulling out these things that was such a great show. I mean, anybody that watches wrestling knows it's a show, but you don't mind that it's a show. Like, if you've ever watched WrestleMania, you know you're watching a soap, but on guys throwing each other around and, you know, like, you did what? I can't believe you said that about my girlfriend. I heard about you and so. And, you know, it's that sort of quirkiness. So you get that. But then you see their daily lives of what it's like for them to live around that. And it was really interesting. And I thought particularly the scripting with the character development was really strong. I was really surprised because it felt like one that Netflix was behind. And then it was just, it was just done.
Yeah, because I want to say that was one of their first original series.
Probably, yeah, up there, yeah.
Maybe, you know, or at least the one maybe not first, but I mean, at least one that was getting a lot of backing from them. You know, a lot of marketing, a lot of just buzz around, even internally from them, and then pushed out externally.
Yeah.
I haven't watched all of the seasons, but what I've seen of it, I've enjoyed. I mean, I like the characters a lot. And so
I love the personas that they come up with in the wrestling outfits, and how they sometimes change that. And so you get to follow the storyline of how they come up with that. Their storylines on the wrestling. I thought that was really fun, very different. Yeah. So, have you got any honorable mentions, or have we tackled them all?
And I have one, and it's not one that that I'm like absolutely heartbroken about, but I enjoyed it. It was The Regulars, and it was that the group of like orphan misfit
kids,
type thing, with in Sherlock Holmes's world.
Yeah.
And so they really, you know, he kind of hires them to do this, and it took a supernatural bent to it, and I mean I had fun with it.
Yeah, I really
like I didn't
it.
think this you know, I mean, it wasn't like I was dropping everything and pushing grandchildren and old people out of the way to get to the TV to do that. But I mean, I had fun with it, you know, and I think that was
unfortunately that was a series that was targeted by a lot of people that thought the series was woke. Yeah, and a lot of the comments were negative about, oh, here we have people that are, you know, of different color and stuff in London like that, then that wouldn't happen. So they're trying to make it relevant now. That was a lot of it, and it got a lot of bad publicity that way, which is disappointing because I actually thought that wasn't relevant. I think it was actually based on the graphic novel series, and it was a really fun take on the Sherlock Holmes story. It was really different. The sets were cool.
Yeah. I liked the world that they made for us and that they put us in. I mean, I thought it was, you know, it was gritty and it was grayish, and it, you know, it fit. And that, it's too bad, because I mean, in this series, what the characters looked like was not. I
shouldn't have been.
I don't even understand that argument.
No,
right?
Very weird. Yeah.
They were people.
Yeah.
That's where that conversation should end.
Exactly. People are people. Okay. It's fine. Yeah. Anywho, So I'm disappointed because that's definitely my cup of tea. Fantasy, mystery, Sherlock Holmes. Ticking all my boxes. Yeah, that I was upset about that. One I didn't mention was Cursed. It was the Merlin story about the sword. Yes. And then we had the wizard, the drunken wizard, who I think stole the show. I think he was incredible. One of the Skarsgård brothers, I believe, played Merlin, and he was incredible. Like every scene he was in, he was brilliant. And for that reason alone, I would watch just him talking to himself, like reading a phone book. Yeah, I think it is brilliant. So not massively upset because I kind of expected it. It was an expensive series, and there didn't seem to be a huge following, and not everybody liked it. It was mixed response. But yeah, again, fantasy, Merlin, all the things that I like.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I wasn't.
you weren't. You weren't all the way there with that.
No. I did. There were portions of it that I did like. So that was. I mean, and I appreciate what they were doing. I think the story was the thing that didn't really grab me,
right?
If I'm remembering correctly, and that, that just is what it is. But cool. Okay. Any more in your honorable mentions before you get to your number 2?
No.
Okay. We'll go for it.
Okay. So the OA is even sad to talk about now. Yeah, exactly. What are you doing, Chris? It's so weird. No, the OA, the first time you watch the characters doing the movements, the hand movements, you're like, what on earth is this? It's so weird. I love it. Like you're hooked. And then you watch more episodes and you're like, what is this about? Like, I'm really intrigued where this is going, because either they're all mentally unstable or they are actually going to start traveling world. No, it can't be. And it always plays with your mind until that ending moment, and you're like, holy crap, it's real. It's real, y'all. And then we had to wait 2 years for season 2, which was incredible. I mean, it was as good because it just built on what they had already started, and they went more into the lore. There was a sentient giant octopus, which I was like, this is my favorite character ever now. I want more of this forever. Like, I love it. And then they cancelled it. Not before the writers told us, because they were so excited about season 2 coming out, we've mapped out and written all 5 seasons. And you're like, woohoo, yeah, we can get invested, man. And you're cancelled.
Yeah, this is my number 1. And for everything you said, I mean, the first season, they set it up so well because we have an absolutely unreliable narrator throughout the entire thing. I mean, she has been gone, disappeared, kidnapped, and now has appeared, and we get little glimpses to her past, but her calling herself the OA, and she believes this thing about her, and she begins to draw in people from the surrounding area. And I love that most of them were students, but she also gets Phyllis from The Office.
Yeah, amazing.
As an adult who's willing to listen and to be like, yeah, I believe you. And they practice this movement, and just, the ending of season 1 gave me chills. It actually just gave me chills thinking about it, because as you have the drama unfolding of what's going on at the school, and then, I'm just going to spoil it in case you haven't watched. There's a gunman that comes, and you have these kids start standing up, this group, and they start doing these movements. And
it's so powerful.
It is. And the way that it's shot, the way that the story is edited together in that moment is just crazy. And then you have the kid running after the ambulance at the end, and
take me
and
with
then we go
you.
Yeah. And season 2 is just as bizarre.
Yeah.
But now we have the instance of, we know that, this is real, because she wakes up in a different spot.
She's
and
in
it's like
someone else's body, but it's not someone else's body. Yeah, it's weird.
Yeah, and I think really the biggest thing, and it was trending for quite a while on, or at least it was trying to trend on Twitter, was, hashtag save the OA.
Yeah.
Because you're right, when the writers said, we have the entire rest of the series mapped out, we know where we're going, we know what it's going to do, to then have the plug pulled from it to be like, no, we're not doing it. I'm sorry, what? Because, and this is one of those that makes you scratch your head, because not only was their audience huge praise by the audience, it was a critical
massive
success.
Yeah,
I mean,
high.
critics loved this, and it was niche and weird, and yet you still are pulling in wide swaths of people to watch this. Come on, this is what like Netflix should be about.
Yeah,
that you create these.
You had the worlds mapped out as well. That's what I don't get. The roadmap was written. It wouldn't have even taken them that long. They could have used the same sets almost. Film it back to back, do a year and a half shooting. You could have done 3 seasons back to back and finished it and given. Yeah, it makes no sense.
And to have season 2 end in our world almost.
Yeah.
Where you have Jason Isaacs, who is our antagonist throughout most of this, and Britt Marling, who is also the writer, her and her writing partner, created this. And so for her to wake up and them going, Britt, are you okay? And, whoa, time out. Wait a minute.
Yeah. You're here now?
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know what's going on anymore. You've what? Oh, goodness. Okay, that I didn't even say anything in that. I understand.
You just made noises.
It's flustering because it was so gripping of storytelling, and I understand that it is weird and that it is hard to follow sometimes. I mean, you have to. This is not a casual series. I mean, this is one that requires thinking and paying attention and following, but it's so rewarding when you do. And that's and I can't even imagine, say for like the octopus and stuff, that the production itself is that expensive.
No, it's mostly just like indoor sets, people dancing around and lots of monologuing. Yeah, weirdly. Yeah. None of it really makes sense as to why it got cancelled. One day, it'd be great to have an exec come out and say, look, I just didn't like it, so I just didn't put it on the top of the pile. And you'd be like, okay, well, at least we know, because you suck, but...
Yeah, you are wrong, but... Yeah, this is one that I really do hope that another network...
Totally possible. It hasn't been that long... in the terms of the actors getting older. I'm sure all the other actors would love to be involved in it. You could do a little bit of a time jump skip thing and start it like a couple of years later, where people have gotten a bit older. It's totally pick upable by another network. For all those networks listening, because they're also listening to us, please.
Yes, save the OA.
Yeah.
Seriously. Oh. Well, this has been a depressing conversation. Huh?
Yeah, really great. Yeah, really great. Yeah.
Well, what? I know you've commented before, leading up to this discussion, but what didn't we cover? What is something that Netflix has canceled that you're just irate about, that you can't believe? Maybe you're not upset about, or maybe you're not mad about it or irate, but maybe you're just scratching your head, or you're like, I really wish that they wouldn't have canceled that. Let us know in the comments, because that's, I know that there is a bigger list. I only covered the ones, and I made sure to put the ones on there that I have actually watched, not just the ones that I know about or anything. And so, yeah, we would love to hear that.
Let us know in the comments.
Absolutely. And as always, thanks you so much for tuning in, for watching us this week. Don't forget, there is still time and opportunity to weigh in on whether or not Die Hard is a Christmas movie. This is going to be, I think, a fun discussion. We've had a lot of comments, pro and con, and so this is good. I love the best thing that I've enjoyed is the justifications for why or why not. So our Christmas show coming up will be really good. Please don't forget to like, share, subscribe. Ruben with the Ruby Tuesday. I'm Chris with Movies and Munchies. And if you're watching us on YouTube, head over to Anchor FM, Spotify, Apple, Google, wherever you happen to listen to your podcasts. And we're going to continue our conversation there with the best thing we watched this week and some entertainment news. But otherwise, we'll catch you next week.